All right. This is going to be so much fun. This is a first here for the Wens, intersecting my passion project of Wens World with what I do from 8:30 to 5:30 and beyond. Welcome everybody from LinkedIn, welcome YouTube. This is the first time I've ever gone live, so do not expect perfection. Actually, expect a lot of learning on the job. Today, we're going to discuss content while we drink water and coffee. Got my Kennesaw State Owls Hootie Hoo shirt on here. This is going to be great. We're going to go for about 25 to 30 minutes. And of course, if you have any questions that I don't address, feel free to direct message me on LinkedIn, or you can email me. And I will put my email address in the comments on LinkedIn. Now, 2025 is going to present a ton of opportunities. And I'm not going to sit up here and talk about AI for 30 minutes. Everybody's doing that. I'm getting down to brass tacks. I'm getting down to the gris on my elbow. I'm getting down to planning, to calendar blocking, to strategizing, and being intentional, not in a yogi sense where we're just using buzzwords so we sound good, but really, like every morning getting up and thinking to myself, what is my strategy for today, right? And of course, this isn't the first time I've thought of that. I usually think about the next week, the Friday before, right? So if it's Friday, like it was yesterday, I went ahead and mapped out my next week's strategy. Now, some of y'all are Jedi level and you're a month ahead because you work on huge marketing teams with a staff of over 5 or 6. I'm the one-man marketing show at my company. So I have a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. So I have to be extremely efficient here. And so the point behind this is to maximize the output that you are doing with maximizing what you're doing with the purpose of why you're doing it. Sorry, I was connecting with some folks on LinkedIn here. Again, if you're just joining on LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining. This is really what I want to do, not on a schedule, but the kids are downstairs watching cartoons, so I had a few minutes to connect and get at it, right? Like this is going to be the year where we really can take advantage of an organic, thoughtful, personalized approach. While everybody else in the world is talking about AI, let it talk for you, let it speak your voice, your brand. That's fine if that's working for you. But I got to tell you, I think the real winners in 2025 and beyond are going to be the people that can still connect individually, personally, on a one-to-one level. And so there's few better ways to do that than with content. Obviously, being in person with people is ideal, but you're not always going to be in the same room, the same state, or the same country as your customers, as your target audience, and so on. So, what we want to do today is give a brief overview of how some of the people that I've worked with are utilizing their content in 2025. Now, it seems as if everybody nowadays has a voice, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because there's so many podcasts out there, there's so many webinars out there, speaker series, panels, so on and so forth. You get the point. How many YouTube channels alone are you subscribed to? Go ahead and answer that in the comments. Do you think it's between 5 and 10, between 11 and 20, or more than 20? I'd love to get your feedback and thoughts on that in the comments, whether on LinkedIn or YouTube. The answer to most people is over 10. Myself, I'm subscribed to about 25 different channels. And, those change and fluctuate every now and then. But it just goes to show the eclectic nature of the content that I consume. And a lot of it's educational, some of it's just fun, some of it's wrestling, some of it's Eagles football, go Birds. But the reality is we have a very diversified portfolio of content that we consume. So the people that you're following, what sets them apart? Like, why do you sit and listen and watch them for 30 minutes of your life every so often? Whether that's once a week, once a day, there's podcasts that I listen to almost daily. So this is an important question to pose as we create our content. It's kind of interesting because if you think about it, we sit and consume content and we create it, and then we wonder, like, well, I wonder what people want. Well, people want what people want, and you have to figure it out and meet them there. And sometimes, like us, we want Mexican food this weekend, and then next weekend we'll want Chinese food, and then the weekend after that we'll want burgers and fries. So your audience's tastes are going to change. It may not be as drastic as Epcot, where you have this world and that world where the cuisine's totally different, but there's going to be subtle nuances in your content strategy that you have to pay attention to. And it's important because you want to be in community with your audience. You want to be in tandem with your audience. You don't have to be a trailblazer. I mean, you can be, and that's fine, but there are a lot of trails that have already been blazed. And I think that there's still some room on those trails for you and me. 2025, like I said, is going to be the year of personalization. It's going to be the year where content creators can rise above the feed saturated with AI prompts, AI text. The people that understand the market and understand their target audience are going to be the winners in this race. You could call me wrong. I've been called worse, but I'm telling you, AI cannot emulate empathy. And marketing is all about empathy. Content is all about empathy. And I'm not talking about heartfelt, heart-tugging posts where my heartstrings are pulled and I'm drawn emotionally. Of course, marketing is about drawing people in through emotional concepts, right? Is to pull on your heartstrings. The age old adage, easy for me to say. People don't buy from companies, they buy from people, right? So content should speak to the people that you're trying to reach. Now, I'm pursuing this from a B2B angle. And so this is more from a B2B perspective than B2C. And with that said, it's important to understand that if we're going to talk about marketing, we are talking to a specific audience with this. So it's more important than ever to know that and be intentional about that when we craft and distribute our content. Now, we talk a lot about content. How do I define content? Content, yes, that's content. That's content. That's content. Are you going to use it all the same way? No. But are we going to use it all? Yes. So there's no piece of content that is going to fly solo. Every piece of content that we make will work in tandem. There's no siloed approach with content. We don't make something and then just discard it once we use it one time, right? We are going to repurpose this content in 2025 because the reality is, and you know this, content creators, you think that people remember everything you've posted for the last 3 months. But we also know that we can't remember what we had for dinner last week. So if you're under the assumption that people are bored with your content, no, they're not. Stick with it. Repurpose what you've already done. Don't spend half your day recreating the wheel unless you feel like you have to. So we're going to go over some things in this live feed as we continue, some practices, some strategies, and some telltale signs where, hey, we could pivot a little bit, test and optimize, right? A B test. You don't have to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. Just, drain the bathwater a little bit, refill it with some fresh hot water. And that's what we plan on doing here. So we're about 10 minutes in, about 22 minutes to go. With that overview, let's get into it. We're into the second part of today's presentation, and that is actually strategizing and talking about how on earth we are going to do this. Now, if you're on LinkedIn already, as I'm sure you are, you understand what the news feed consists of. It consists of PNGs, MP4s, PDFs, and text for the most part. Every now and then we'll see some interactive polls, but PNGs, obviously, that's just a graphic format. It's just high res. JPEGs also, or picture files. MP4s are going to be your movie files, your video files. And sometimes you'll see some creative folks using audio overlaid with a graphic or like a slideshow. And these have kind of been coined by some as audiograms. And we're going to talk about how to utilize these things within your Marcom strategy, or marketing communication stack, both internally and externally in a B2B scenario. So what I do every day, including the weekends, as you can tell, is help people to maximize their content strategy, not only on LinkedIn, but for their website, for their YouTube channel, for their social channels, for email campaigns. Again, utilizing existing content, repurposing it, and that way you don't waste any energy, any time, any resources, and all of your efforts will come back fruitful. So let's talk a little bit about how to do this with content. Talked earlier about defining what content is, and it's basically anything you've created. This could be stuff that you've already had in your Rolodex for a while. It's white papers, it's best practices, it's FAQs. That's included in the stuff I'm talking about. So obviously your white paper is cool. You don't necessarily need to put that out there on LinkedIn unless you feel like you're at that point. But you definitely want to have stuff on your website that defines who you are as a brand and how you're going to help other brands to benefit. And what I help brands do is to maximize their event. So let's say you own a company and you are doing a yearly kickoff, an SKO, sales kickoff or corporate kickoff. And a lot of the challenges that organizations have is finding a speaker that isn't from the company, right? Because you've heard that voice over and over. It's not redundant, but people have found, and studies have shown, that people respond differently to a different voice. And so part of our offering is to be that voice, to come in, align with your goals for your kickoff, and help your brand launch the new year in style and grace. We always show up, we show out, and honestly, I think we have some of the most competitive rates, but it's not about that per se. That's part of what the importance is of considering all of these areas and details as you plan for your events in 2025 and beyond. So more important than ever to know your audience and to adjust your strategy accordingly. So if we're talking about, an on-site event, so important for you to understand if this is an internally focused event, do you want to have somebody within your company organizing all of this? They have a lot going on already, or would it be helpful and possibly important to maybe lean on an event company that's had your back since 2017 with over 30 years of combined event experience? So again, just a couple things to consider from the top. Now, back to content. it's important to define it. It's everything you've created, right? And conveying in a way, a meaningful way to people that will help influence their purchasing decision. Maybe not now, but down the line. It's all about the drip, right? If you're talking about events and that's the focus, content is huge for events, both for in-person events and virtual events. Because as you know, without content, your event is stale. It's just somebody on a stage talking. Now, unless that person is a heavy hitter, big shot, it's gonna be difficult for them to keep the audience's attention for the amount of time that they're on stage. So, since grade school, you have visual aids to assist in your presentation. And one of the best ways for speaker panels and on-site events, online events, is to have content that's curated and manicured specifically for you. And this content could be created beforehand and doctored and edited in a way that's so seamless that people won't even be able to tell that this person wasn't doing it right then and there, especially when they wear the same outfit from the recording and when they're presenting or answering the live Q&A portion. So important to consider that. And if you are going live, repurposing that live event. It's not just about that one moment. It's about capturing that moment, the essence of that moment, and then finding ways, subtle ways and not so subtle ways, to repurpose that content and send it out in meaningful ways to people within your organization and people on the outside that you want to bring in, not only as clients, but potential employees, So let's say you have a sales kickoff and you are rocking it. You have a keynote speaker that has everybody doing the Arsenio Hall, and you're like, holy cow, I can't believe that our LA branch wasn't here or our Toronto branch wasn't here. It's a shame they couldn't be here. Well, if you capture that moment, you can repurpose that, inspire the teams from the other office, match that energy, send it their way. And again, partner with a company that can take out all of the awkward transitions that may have happened as you're waiting for people to get up on the stage. Put a little, music behind it, add a title card with your company logo and some cool popping graphics, make it loud, make it proud, make it your brand, your organization, and inspire your internal team to greatness in 2025. That's one way that organizations have used my skills to better their brand. And again, they're doing this in a customized way. It doesn't break the bank. It only costs a couple $100 to do this stuff. And the results, the ROI is tremendous. As you know, employee retention is huge nowadays. As they say, it's cheaper to keep her. The cost of hiring and training a new employee can be over $100,000. Think about the ROI on creating content that will help your employees, first of all, stay honed in on what your goals are, your internal goals are for 2025, and to stay motivated, right? And these don't have to be once a year things. These can be throughout the year, quarterly roundup meetings. And there's no better way to connect your LA staff, your Toronto staff, and your Atlanta staff than with a virtual one, because really you save on hotel, on food, on rental cars, on travel. The cost of an airline ticket is staggering. And let's be honest, it could be inconvenient for people to travel on a dime, on a whim. The kids, who's going to watch them? Husband's away on business. The wife's away on business. I can't get this to work out. But hey, if we have this virtually, I can swing it. I can do this because, hey, worst case, if I can't be there live, I'll pre-record it, send Joey the video. He'll touch it up. He'll make it perfect. He'll make me look like Oprah up there. And yes, I will make you sound that great, no matter who you are. And that's the goal, is to make you shine and me being behind the scenes. So let's say this goes beyond an SKO or an internal call. Maybe you're doing, like I said, internal calls like sales trainings or continuing education internal. But let's say that you're doing a product rollout or a continuing education course. We think it's a fantastic idea to have an external partner with your team and to become an arm of assistance, not to take over and dominate, but to really be an arm of assistance for your next project. And the reasons are obviously it frees you up to focus your time on things that will grow your brand instead of the logistical things that our team and other teams, but if you choose us, things that our team specializes in. And it's so important to work with a brand that's their specialty, because listen, I don't cut my own hair. I mean, it may look like I do, but I do not cut my own hair. And there's a reason for that, because if I do it myself, yes, my hair will be shorter after I'm done, but I will look like I cut my own hair. And so we are 5 years almost removed from the pandemic where everybody learned how to use collaboration platforms. But the difference is you can use it and you can host it and you can do it all, or you can focus on the content that is going to bring you the leads and lean on other people to help control the environment, to let the people in, to mute the loud mics or people are unknowingly interfering with the meeting, to share the content, to continue the content, to curate the content, to provide you data and analytics and reports after the event to help you curate further webinars, audio presentations, and so on down the line. So super, super important. And I got to tell you, there's no better way to connect with people than through one-on-one meetings or live events taken and repurposed. So again, I thank you for joining me here. We got about 10 minutes left and we've only touched the surface. We've only scratched it, actually. Super, super important to do this. And I got to tell you, 2025 is going to be the year of the content creator. So let's go a little bit further into this. Let's say you're rolling out a product in the B2B space alone. Now, B2C, this is an interesting scenario, especially on LinkedIn. Now, I'm sure Facebook Live and all that for B2C, I've seen a lot of my friends who have their own side hustles. They sell, makeup or skin products. They sell apparel. They'll go live and they'll sell their stuff like that. But let's say you're a brand and you have a following on LinkedIn and let's say you have a new software upgrade and you're a SaaS company. What better way to kind of roll it out than either a live webinar, which is great, or a pre-recorded webinar that you can just replay over and over. And then when you replay it, you keep it open for comments and questions, and then you can go in and use that as part of your funnel, right? You can answer these questions, message the people back. You have all this data to work from. And so with that said, you work from that data and optimize from there, right? Live webinars are great because obviously you're meeting people where they are, you're doing great things, and it's fantastic to interact live, but sometimes people can't make the meeting. Sometimes people will watch the replay and then from that, they'll have feedback. So again, if you have feedback on this presentation, I welcome you to comment, whether here on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're seeing this. Now, we talked a little bit about the internal side. We'll talk more about that, like sales trainings and stuff like that. But let's talk about outbound messaging. Podcasts are huge, and podcasts are not just audio anymore. Podcasts are audio, video. You can take the transcript from the podcast and turn it into a blog. and blogging is great for SEO and the long play. You know this. I don't have to train you on that because these are all things you already know, but just a great reminder to utilize podcasts. And if you want some advice, some free advice, I'd be happy to give it to you. I don't charge for a consultation call up front. Now, if you choose to work with me down the line, I will be a fantastic partner for you because I've been working with not only live radio shows that have been nationally syndicated, but I've also been working with pre-recorded podcasts since 2011. Now, even before that, when I did some internships during college, but I started getting paid in 2011. I've been doing it since then. So do the math. That's 14 years of podcasting experience. And I got to tell you, you want a partner in this. You want somebody that can help you not only plan your podcast, but produce it, edit it, and promote it. There's, like I said at the top of this presentation, everybody and their mama got a podcast now. Everybody has a channel to operate from. So what is going to make you stand out? What is it about your content that keeps people coming back? What's the difference? Why should they listen? Why give me 20 minutes of your time? Time is the only resource that we don't know how much we have of. So I value the time that we have. I don't want to mess around with your time. So podcasts are a fantastic way to connect with your audience. And the reason they're fantastic is manyfold. One, they don't have to be video. If you're having a bad hair day, like I am right now, it looks like I cut my own hair. Again, go back to that conversation if you missed it. But you're having a bad hair day, you could just do an audio one and people will still listen. People still listen to audio podcasts. Believe it or not, it's not all video. Video is helpful because YouTube is a beast for Google. Obviously, Google owns it. So you want to work within the rule book. What are the rules? Those are the rules. Stick within the rules. Find a way to bend them ever so slightly to get what you want. And that is traction from your content. And podcasts ultimately produce this kind of traction. Why? How? Well, first of all, podcasts are the bee's knees. You record it, you can repurpose it. It's with every piece of a 25 or 30-minute podcast, you have about 10 vignettes. So vignettes are just little short form pieces of content that you use to tease the big kahuna, right? That you can use for email blasts. When customers have a specific question and you do a podcast, you can send them content, video, fun, engaging, interactive content that answers their question. Not only that, but by clicking on the link that you send them, you're driving them to a specific landing page. So it's great for not only helping and serving your audience, which ultimately is the goal of every piece of content, but you're also helping yourself in the long run because you're driving traffic to your website or LinkedIn page, post, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say not only for every long form piece of content, you're getting all these vignettes, but like I mentioned earlier, the blog ability, the newsletter ability from this. Again, LinkedIn newsletters, I'm going to start using them in 2025. It's just such an underutilized aspect of marketing on LinkedIn because listen, you're hopping the line at Disney with this. Let's say LinkedIn is Disney World. You got the lightning pass, baby. You hop the line with newsletters. You're hopping on top of the news feed. The news feed's full, but you're walking around to the front and you're getting right in front of them. And they're popping up in the notification. Hey, bang, your favorite content creator / organization has a new newsletter. And in this newsletter, it links to your video that's on your site or on YouTube. But let's be strategic about YouTube. We don't want them to just fall into the YouTube conundrum and hole, the dark abyss that is YouTube. We want to end screen that video, baby. We want to put something on there that's tying them back to our brand. So whether that's a YouTube short, obviously under 60 seconds, and you got to be within the parameters. You got to look it up. I'll help you if you need some help. I'll guide you through that. But play by the rules. Use your descriptions strategically. Use hashtags strategically. Titles or headlines are everything, right? You want to engage people. Open-ended stuff is huge. Everything you need to know. People love listicles. The 3 things that will serve you, or the 3 things that are working against you, or the 5 must-haves, etc. You get the point. So we're coming up against the bottom of the hour, a 30-minute show. I want to thank everybody for watching this. So many people have showed up, and I'm going to message you all back directly with answers to your questions. Of course, if you're watching this on demand and you have a question, this is going to be the first of many of these. So stay tuned. We're going to do these sporadically. There's no real schedule. It's just kind of like when I have time when the kids are downstairs on a Saturday morning watching cartoons that I've already seen 150 times. So again, my name is Joey Wenzler. I help organizations, associations, nonprofits, foundations, for-profits, doesn't matter. But really, I like to help the organizations that are working with a limited budget, that are working with grant money, that really are doing great work and just need some help getting the word out there. And that's what I am about. I'm about serving you. That's my life's mission. That's what I've been commissioned to do by the Lord. And I feel like I have the skills to help your organization thrive in 25. Wow, I can't believe I just made that up. I'm sure it's already been used, but I'm going to keep at it. Thrive in 25. That's our mantra. Let's go. Me and you, LinkedIn, YouTube. I hope you guys have an awesome day. We will talk soon, and I cannot wait to talk to you. Have a great day.